Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Let's Get Ready Network. I'm Adelia. I'm here with Justin and our friends Greg, French, and Brandi. We just watched episode 4 of season 2 of Rings of Power, and here's our immediate thoughts on it. Brandi, why don't we start with you?
It was action packed. There was a lot of stuff that went on. You kind of got a little bit of some of the stuff that happened last time. We found Nori and her friend, and they found a new group of people. We got the Galadriel and her crew around trying to make their way through things, and it's interesting. I loved it. I want more. You have more to say. You know more about it than I do, but I did find this episode to be more my speed. I liked it, and I want more.
Okay. French, what about you?
Nerd. I can nerd for like an hour and a half ish at least on this. The first 3 episodes were obviously reestablishing characters and the set and what we were doing here. We knew this episode the plot was going to start to take off, and oh boy, did it! I'm loving, even though I'm not sure where we're going with this. There's so many hints and feelers. It feels so delightfully Tolkien, and Tom Bombadil. You know, they've been teasing that he was going to be there. He shows up. He was less annoying than I expected him to be honest.
Agreed.
And I like that whole scene with him and the stranger. I tripped over 2 things. One, I think the stranger and the dark wizard might be the 2 blue wizards who are going to cancel each other out by the end of this.
Okay.
And what if Tom Bombadil is just kind of like the local avatar of Eru the Luvatar?
Okay.
And I know Adelia might get that, but what if he's just, that's why he doesn't make any sense in the rules of this world. I know I went super nerd right away here, but
yeah, that would be interesting.
But
definitely super
also,
nerdy.
Also, a lot of what Brandon said, there was some awesome action scenes already in this. I called it, but the end and wives at the end, that was awesome, and it's all awesome. And yeah, you know, it was another great episode, and I'm looking. But it was, now that we know where all the characters are, we know what's going on. We're seeing this move forward. I'm eager for it to move forward, and I'm really pissed off. I gotta wait a week for the next episode.
Yeah,
I'll be doing this for the next couple of weeks. But yeah, that's me today.
Okay, Greg, what about you? You are muted.
Somebody ring him.
We back?
You're back.
Okay, cool. What I was trying to say was that just like everybody else, it was great action, great creatures and villain introductions. That they were very cool, and some great reveals about people's future, or whether it be what we think is Gandalf or a Blue Wizard, his future, about him facing off with what in the future what he has to face off with, and then the kind of backstory behind the Harfoots and the connection with the other people, as far as their common ancestry and what they're going through. So overall, great episode.
Okay, Justin, what about you?
Now I'm gonna be a little bit of a party pooper. Some of it may be because I'm in a bad attitude because one of my cars may be breaking down. So, but I didn't hate the episode. I still like the episode. I thought a lot of the things like the creature out of the mud stuff or whatever was like really cool looking. I think they do a really good job of making everything look really good and everything, but I'm not as up on the action. Like there were things that were like action scenes, but I didn't get a lot from them. Like for instance, even with the creature in the mud that looked really cool, like it looked really cool, but the way it was over in like 10 seconds, they killed him pretty easily, and then they made a joke about it and stuff. And then when they had the action with and this happens with anything that you have one person and they're up against like, a decent amount of people, is that, yeah, it looked really cool. Galadriel being all boss mode and stuff like that. It did look cool. Like she did some moves and stuff like and all that, but like literally had like 20 goblins just looking at her. They have arrows and stuff. They're not even trying to shoot her or nothing. They're just staring at her the whole time.
Yeah,
killing
it's
certain ones. Like I said, that's something that happens in any kind of show or movie, and you're trying to do an action scene where you have one character like whooping ass. And like I said, it looked cool. Like the move she was doing looked really crisp, looked really nice. But it's just the whole time I'm like none of these orcs are trying to. They just showed them shoot arrows at like the horse and like ended up almost killing one of their friends. And none of them decides to shoot as they just look at her do really cool moves. That kind of stuff throws me out a little bit. Like, so for instance, just to show that I'm not liking that little part on this. I don't like that when it had like I love the first two like John Wick movies, for instance. Someone even brought that up at one point while we were watching the watch along. But after the second one, it became less grounded, and I don't like it as much. I don't like the fact that he's like getting hit by 10 cars and still alive, kind of deal, still going around like doing his thing. So I'm critical even on John Wick. So like that's one of the things, and that's just how I am when I see that stuff. And it is like I'm not gonna like hate on the show creators and stuff because of the fact that it is really super hard to do, like to showcase that this person's doing all this stuff while all the bad guys or whoever they are trying to like get them. So most of the time in some of the best movies, you just see a group of people looking at somebody doing stuff really cool. So I didn't really love the action, but I do love how everything looked. Like even while the action was going on, I thought there was some like cool stuff to see. Like I said, I love that creature. I don't know. We don't know its name. It just became supper.
Yeah.
But, no, but I thought
they called it nameless things.
And and I haven't been so far this season into the whole the Harfoots and the stranger side of the story, but I do think they are doing a decent job on like the rest of it. I think Galadriel is actually she's working with a team in this season. I think that works out better and all of that. I like that side of the story too, because it's got to me like cooler stuff and more interesting things to pay attention to. I did like seeing the treants, if I got that right. I did like seeing those and like what they were doing. That woman was damn upset. She was upset. That treant was mad as hell. But
yeah.
But yeah, and I like the stuff they are trying to do with like the orcs and like the elf. See you later, French.
Yeah.
But the I can't never think of his name, but the elf. I can't never remember. The elf that's actually with Theo.
Oh, Arondir.
Arondir. I think he's one of my favorite characters. I love to see him. Like he's super cool. So I love like that side of the story a little more as well. So like I said, there's a couple of misses for me, but it's not bad enough for me to be like, oh, this show's garbage. I'm not going to watch it anymore kind of deal. Like I'm still like on the positive side, just not as positive as I think y'all are on some of the stuff.
I'm the opposite of Justin. Nori and Poppy are my favorite.
No, but I mean, I can see that too. It's according on what kind of stuff you like. I'm not even though I'm saying it's my least favorite, I'm not saying it's like total garbage. I mean, it's obviously trying to set up stuff. I will say that some of the things that they're trying to set up, I think are a little bit too on the nose. I think they had a pretty cool, even from the first season. I think they could have did a better job of like reveals and having things happen in a more secretive manner. I do think they are on the nose with a lot of this stuff. So like, I'm not a big Lord of the Rings nerd, say like French and Adelia, but like I'm able to like put some stuff together. And that's like, to me, that's like surface level, because that's all I am. I'm a surface level fan. I'm not a big fan. Like you ask me about Star Wars, I can talk 20 minutes on a thing. You ask me something about Lord of the Rings, and unless it's from like the movies, because I do really like the movies, and watched them multiple times, so I could talk about that kind of stuff. But like you talk about any of this other stuff, I might could give you 5 minutes, and that's just because I can talk. I'm a bullshitter, right? So I can talk about a couple of different things. But yeah, I mean, I overall still liked it. I'm not on the like, oh, this is not a good show kind of thing. Definitely not. And like I said, one of the things I do like about it is they spend a decent amount of money on this show, but you can actually see every episode where money went. And I actually enjoy that. I actually enjoy that because there's some things I've seen where you can't. It's like, bro, how the hell did you spend that much money? You could have donated that to the homeless or something. Shit.
Yeah.
But, Hambone's right. We've all seen examples recently where there's a big old budget we keep hearing about in the press, and then we watch it and we went, that all went to like 2 or 3 actors, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That went to Robert Downey Jr. on the new movies. It's going to be him.
Or again, Ewan McGregor recently.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. I really enjoyed the stuff with Isildur and Arondir and Estrid finding Theo.
I did want to say Hambone brought it up before my PC quit on me. By the way, PSA, if your PC fan starts acting up, replace that shit or get a new computer. Don't like try to go along with it. It's gonna fuck with you. Anyway, but yeah, like Galadriel's fighting, okay, it's fun action, but I don't really care because Galadriel's plot armor is like 4 feet thick.
Yeah.
Whereas Arondir and Theo and some of the other characters, I have theories and ideas and imaginations about what those characters could be in the rest of this series. They may or may not. They weren't in the movies because they weren't in the movies. They weren't in the books. They weren't in the whatever. But I don't know what's going to happen to them. I know Galadriel's going to make it. She is definitely going to survive whatever happens.
Sure.
Same thing with Elrond and Isildur, and to a certain extent Elendil and Sauron too. But Arondir and Theo, I don't know what's going to happen to those people. And that is what is exciting about Lord of Rings of Power.
Yeah, and they do cool stuff. Like, say that elf that
I know where this is going to end up, but how do we get there? It's kind of like the prequel trilogy for Star Wars.
Yeah, the Arondir character to me is like really super cool because he's done some cool stuff. But everything he's done so far, and I'm pretty sure they're going to give him like a boss moment too, like sometime during the season or something. But like everything he does seems more realistic. So like the fighting that he's in and all that good stuff, seems like, but he hasn't had that big like 20 people standing around him kind of moment that we have with Galadriel. And I just realized my name is the same thing I had set up for Auburn thing that I did for the sports channel. But hey, the show has a big ass eagle in it, so hey, we could say Lord Am Eagle. You know what I'm saying?
There's a game. I just figured there was a game tomorrow, and you were just like preparing.
It's Saturday.
I can't even see your thing, so.
But yeah, in my time zone, Saturday is tomorrow.
True.
Yeah. Back to Adelia.
It's also tomorrow his time too.
Yeah, we are past midnight here in Central Time Zone as well. I have really enjoyed like I said, Arondir and Theo and all of these like new characters that are not in the books a lot. I'm still missing Bronwyn. I'm still upset that they didn't just recast the character. But I think it's led Theo and Arondir maybe to an interesting place where Theo's kind of now going to be Lord of Peligir, as Arondir said at the end of this episode. And Arondir is going to go out and do something that he probably wasn't going to do otherwise. Because he probably would have stayed in Peligir with Bronwyn and Theo. So I'm looking forward to seeing where those two storylines go. Although, as we were talking while we were watching the episode, I do think, French, you might be right. And Theo ends up with that ring. One of the rings.
I think from trailers and where we're so far going this season, I think by the end of this season, Sauron will have the rings. The dwarves or some of the dwarves will have their rings, but he's still picking his humans. And in future seasons, Theo is going to get, and again, he's not going to get the ring because here, take this. you're gonna get rich and powerful. No, it's gonna be I can help you and your people with this ring. With this
Mhm.
ring, you can help more people. And Theo's gonna go, I want to help people.
Yeah.
My stepdad taught me how to help people.
Well,
And
and his
yeah,
and his
and
mother
around
as
here's
well.
yeah, but and around here's gonna go, dude, kid, don't take that ring. And Theo's gonna be, I'm not a kid anymore. You're not my real dad.
Yeah.
And I want to help you.
You know what though? I don't think that part of
That's
happened.
how. That's how
you might.
I just think that's a level of trickery. Sauron is he's a meta level con artist.
I do believe
Mhm.
you on like the ring thing a possibility, but I don't think he'll be like that to a Rondir because I think they did have a moment, that's why I'm liking their side of the story better so far. Is he had
Mhm.
that moment where he was kind of like admitting that he was possibly wrong about like going away and everything else, and he kind of had like they had a moment together,
Yeah.
like he did that. You're not my father before this moment, and I think after this moment he wouldn't pull that part, but I do think he would possibly get the ring. I do agree with that.
And I think we're probably going to see some hints of that with the dwarves in this season. Is that once somebody gets a ring, especially if Sauron is more involved than he was with those first three, the ring is going to have more effects than it does.
Mhm.
Another thing I did think of is we know from the writings that Elrond doesn't get his ring until after Gil-galad. And that's at the end of what we assume is going to be all this when the movies start.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how a ring works without Sauron in the background.
Yeah.
With his one ring. So he doesn't know how it works. So yeah, that's why I think he doesn't trust, Galadriel in her current relationship with her ring. Because Sauron isn't really involved in this ring. They made it without anybody else, theoretically.
Theoretically.
And this is just she's getting a direct tap into, Eruta Luvatar or whoever the hell else is trying to give her a hint through the ring. Elrond doesn't know how that ring works. So he has no clue. And yeah, but he's working from his Elrond perspective of don't trust that, because I think he does know that. I mean, he read the script. He knows Halbrand isn't Halbrand, and I think he's guessed at who it might be. So, yeah, this is going to be interesting. And yeah, I just thought that was an interesting, pop up in my head of like, yeah, Elrond doesn't know yet. He's going to learn, but he doesn't know yet. He doesn't know how that ring works. He thinks it's just the ring is pure evil, but it's just powerful beyond what he understands. He doesn't get it.
Yeah.
And I think by the end of this season, the ring is going to give Galadriel or help Galadriel do something really fucking impressive.
Yeah. Love seeing badass Galadriel. I can understand Justin's points on her taking on that whole group of orcs, but like French said, her plot armor is like 4 feet thick because she survives. So that's it takes the stakes away out of scenes like that, but it's still kind of cool to watch. Also loved that we didn't get Sauron at all in this episode, but the episode was still somewhat all about Sauron.
Also true.
And I think that that's important. I really do believe that the wizards are probably not the blue wizards, though I would be happily surprised if they're the blue wizards. I do think that the stranger is Gandalf still, and I do think that the dark wizard is Saruman. And some of the stuff that was said about by Tom Bombadil about the dark wizard and how the stranger is going to have to face both the dark wizard and Sauron just really sort of solidified that opinion for me. I'll happily be wrong if they're the blue wizards.
And that circles around to Tolkien lore of where when we see Gandalf in The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, this isn't his first trip to Middle Earth.
Yeah.
And that may be part of this story.
Yeah.
This is Gandalf. He just ain't gonna make it this time.
Yeah. So that's interesting. And I liked the part with the Nori and Poppy finding Merrimack and him taking them to the village, the store village. And I don't know who exactly these Goldrim or whatever they said they were called that are working for the Dark Wizard are supposed to be. I'm guessing just Easterlings.
Or Haradrim, one or the
Or
other.
Haradrim.
Yeah,
Yeah.
humans that dig Sauron.
Yeah.
Easy enough.
So seeing them interact with the store leader, that woman, the Gund or whatever Merrimack said her name was
Gund.
interesting. I don't think they're going to end up handing over Nori and Poppy. But I do wonder how that bit is going to resolve itself, because the strangers got to get involved, I think, to resolve that.
Yeah, I think that their reunion will be him showing up to help resolve the Harfoots / Stewards issues.
Yeah.
And that's another one of those where there's a certain amount of plot armor. Poppy gonna make it. Nori, maybe not.
Yeah.
Because we know there's Proudfoots or Proud Feet in the Hobbit. So I'm assuming that's Poppy and her line. But Nori,
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just
You know,
give
and
you kind of. No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, because you're talking about it.
Oh, no. I've been rambling. You go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that, like, a perfect example to me of watching like Galadriel do her thing, like in the show tonight, was imagine being at like one of the karate things, and you know how they have the, like, they're not fighting each other, but they're like doing impressive stunts, like chopping down some wood or whatever, and everybody's just sitting there staring at them and in awe of what they're able to accomplish. Like, that to me is what kind of drives me out, is because that's what the orcs looked like they were doing. It was like, man, look at this person doing this show, and we're going to stand here and watch. There's ways that you could have like make it a little better. Like, she could have shot one of the arrows of fire like in front of like a line of the orcs and it catch fire, right? So there's like a line of fire that's kind of keeping them out of the thing and distracting them, while she like takes out, like, you know, some of the other ones that are around and stuff. It's just like, there are ways you could try to come up with ways to make it seem better, but it's just that, like I said, it looked really cool. I mean, like, the move she was doing was like really cool looking. Like, it was
Hambone is some of the extras, like, that was very limited fight choreography they were given. Like, she goes swing this thing in the air, and it's gonna be really cool, and y'all just kind of do one of these and fall down.
Yeah.
And then like we can talk about the Harfoots here. Like, they got knocked back in a tornado, sucked up in the air, and somehow landed on the ground.
Grabbing a beer.
Yeah, somehow landed on the ground. We see them this episode. They're not injured or anything. They're able to, like, not only do get up, but get up, walk away. They hear that thing. One of the people trying to get them, and then they even jump off the edge of a cliff and like do barrel rolls to safety and stuff. So like, that kind of stuff right there can get into that's the kind of stuff that is like kind of irritating, but at the same time, it's like I said, it's not done so bad that I'm gonna be like, oh, this is crap. It's just those things. It's like, I notice it, and it's like whatever. But like I said, this is also Tolkien. It's a magical world, so it's not as big of a deal as it can be in, like, say, more of down to earth serious stories and stuff like that. So this is one of those things. I do think, like, like I said, a decent amount of the characters and stuff are like a lot better. So it's like they're making sense in most cases and all that stuff. So as long as you take away like those little things, like I said, the rest of the show, it looks beautiful, sounds beautiful, and I think in a lot of ways acted beautiful. Like, I do think, like I've said before, we've talked about this a couple of times, Galadriel, the actress, I think is acting like her elf should be. Like, that's how elves are in the Tolkien world, and I think she gets a lot of heat as an actress for her character. You know, people will say too stoic or like wooden and stuff like that, like not with a lot of character or Shazazz, but it's like they're not supposed to be that way. Like she's doing it how it's supposed to be, like how it would be written.
Yeah.
It's just how the elves are. And I do think the pacing and stuff is better this season so far in the first 4 episodes, because you're getting a lot of mixture. We're not just sticking with Galadriel for a long time. So we're not just with her. We're with a bunch of different characters, and they're all kind of like, eventually we can assume they're going to end up getting together with each other again and having a fight, like, you know, the bigger evil overall. So, and a fight against it at least. So yeah, like I do think this season they have done. I think I'm liking this season better than season 1, straight up. I think this season's better than season 1 so far, and it's not just because they're throwing member berries here for a year, dangling the keys. I actually do think that, like I said, the pacing, I think the writing's a little better. The character development, I think, is like making more sense and stuff in this season so far, and that kind of thing. Like I said, there's a couple of little nitpicks. Like I said, mainly to me was the action parts. Like, you take away the action parts, to me, there's like nothing for me to complain about or say something about that's negative. The rest of the show I thought was fine.
Okay. I loved the Ents. I loved seeing the Ent wife.
Love the Ents. Yes.
The Ent wife was. I loved that they like differentiated between the two, because the wife had the flowers, and
that was a delightful fake out kind of thing that I ran into, because I was seeing around here, kept finding these white petals,
yeah,
on the ground, and it was a mystery. It was a nothing mystery. And then Isildur is doing something very Isildur, very noble and kingish, and all of a sudden there's these white petals blowing everywhere. And I'm going, oh, wait a minute, this is the whole white tree of Gondor kind of thing, and this is like the Tolkien plot winding together. And all of a sudden, here's this Ent wife just laying waste to all kinds of things.
Yeah, that was great.
Kicking ass, taking names, and grabbing people.
Yeah.
And then, all of a sudden, the plot has shifted to something else entirely.
Yeah. I was concerned going into this season about the fact that they weren't filming it in New Zealand anymore, about how the visuals would look and change. But I thought the visuals of, you know, Galadriel, Elrond, and them going through the countryside were great. All the visuals in this are stunning, really.
And again, I mean, not all of Middle Earth is going to look like New Zealand.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's, again, it's cool. Again, and once New Zealand just has like ready-made scenery, whereas other places you got to get the shot just right.
Yeah.
So yeah, but either way, yeah, it's great that they're doing what they're doing, and it's beautiful either way. So yeah.
And I think that's about it.
Did they have a next up on that I didn't wait to watch?
There was a little next up on thing that popped up at the end of mine while the credits were playing, but I didn't watch it.
Okay, I didn't get that far into the credits, so I'm gonna have to double back for that. So yeah, I have no idea what's gonna happen next week, other than
it looked like it was like a little best next up on thing before like some behind the scenes stuff from filming.
Hey, I was in a hurry for the Stranger and the Harfoots to get back together, but now that they each kind of have their own plot, I can wait another episode before that happens.
I'll ask one more question for like the two of you guys, especially, that know a lot of the other stuff that some of us don't.
Okay.
Do you think the new characters, because it seems like I'm liking some of the newer characters, it's obviously, like y'all have said, it's not even really part of the story, a decent amount more than some of the old, like, do y'all actually think that the newer characters they're almost doing a better job with than, say, the characters that you should know, like, and that you do know because of the story?
I don't know that I'd say they're doing a better job. I just think that there's more stakes with those characters, because literally any of those characters could die at any moment.
Right.
Whereas you've got the characters that we know carry on through to the Lord of the Rings books and movie trilogy, and nothing's going to happen to them. Like, nothing's going to happen to Galadriel. I've never once felt a moment of peril for Galadriel in the series, because I know she survives. Same with Elrond. Same with Isildur. Like there was that big like cliffhanger on what was going on with Isildur at the end of last season because he gets caught in the fire and that building, and they leave him behind. It's like, well, Isildur's fine, but the rest of them that were the newer characters, Arondir, Theo, Bronwyn, the rest of the Southlanders, Estrid. I don't know what's going to happen with Estrid, if she's going to be this character that everyone's speculating ends up being Isildur's wife. His wife is never named in the books, so it could be her. It could be just a love interest for this season, and then she dies and we move on. Who knows at this point? But that makes the characters, I think, more interesting because there's more stakes to them than there are the other characters in the show.
I got you.
And I'm assuming I'm the other Tolkien nerd. And yeah, that's the new characters. Well, they don't have the plot armor, which yes does increase the stakes. They're very Tolkien written.
Yeah, they fit in well.
Everyone, they fit in well. They're superheroes without superpowers, where they do everything normal people do. They just do it way better than normal people do it.
Yeah.
Even in the elf, Galadriel's an elf, and she does what elves do. She just somehow does it better than the rest of the elves do, which is also already pretty impressive. Mm-hmm. And the same thing with Isildur and Elendil, and name a named character, and the rest of the characters are just kind of wow. But those characters are interesting, and Tolkien has always had those characters where they're only in the story for 2.5 paragraphs, but you get enough of their story where wow, that's an interesting character. But they get killed by some orcs or whatever, and we're moving on.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of those that we're getting invested in. Arondir, Theo, oh, there was another character I was blanking on. Oh, Valandil, Isildur's buddy from Numenor.
Yes.
I love that character. I have very, very sad thoughts about how he's going to end up. He's not going to make it.
Yeah.
I love the dude. He's not going to make it. But the story of how he's not going to make it is the same as Isildur's story. I mentioned Obi-Wan Kenobi earlier. We knew Obi-Wan was going to make it, but the story of how he survives and makes it to the movies can be as interesting as knowing he's going to make it.
Yeah.
Okay, we know he's going to make it, but how's he going to get out of this?
Yeah. Valandil, you just mentioned, one of Isildur's sons is named Valandil. So that makes me, even more curious about this guy. Yeah. And like, does something tragic happen to him? And then Isildur names one of his sons after his friend, stuff like that.
And that may be another season or two where those two reconnect. He's suddenly the second in command, and that's his ride or die.
Yeah.
Especially after the third homie died in the first season.
Yeah.
I'd like to mention something that all shocked us, that girl actually had a betrothed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. After I saw her burning that thing off her neck, I'm going, that betrothed is some bullshit.
I wasn't as shocked about her having a betrothed, but I know my camera's not on. But if it was, you'd be able to see exactly what I'm talking about here. Is that I was more shocked that I'm sexier than the guy they chose to be her betrothed. You know what I'm saying?
Well, her betrothed is one of the wild men, Justin. You're not that.
I mean, I live in Alabama and I got a beard. So,
he is a wild.
I'm as close to a wild man if you want to be in the wild man section. You know what I'm saying? But but no, I will say this. This isn't. I've seen a couple of really great shows the past couple of years. The Last of Us, House of the Dragon, I think super great and stuff like that. Obviously, I don't think this show is to that level, but I don't think this show is like even close to some of the ones that I've seen so far. That it hasn't been all that great. So, like, I think it's above middle, not quite reaching that top echelon, but it's up there. I'm enjoying the show, so I'll say that.
And I have one of the rings.
Yep.
Absolutely, Brandi.
I'm gonna have to check the canon about which one it is, but I just said we haven't shadowed any actors today, mostly because Charlie Vickers went around with no Sauron this episode. But I did want to shout out Rory Kinnear. I was prepared to not like Tom Bombadil because even
Yeah,
he
when
did
I
a great
first
job.
read it, I never liked Tom Bombadil. But Rory Kinnear was great as Tom Bombadil.
Yeah, I didn't think he
Made
was
the
bad
character
at all.
likable, which I didn't think was possible. So massive cheers to him for that.
Yeah, not bad at all. Not bad at all. I mean, if you
That's
was
all
going
I
to pick,
got.
to me, like my favorite actor or actress, like in the show in this episode in particular, would be the elf that I never can name, the Andorra or whatever.
A Ron Deere.
Ron Deere. There we go. Like
Uh,
I'll remember this person's name because I think he's doing a great job acting, and I like he's my favorite elf so far, and he probably shouldn't be because he's like a made up character, but he's my favorite elf out of the show, and that's from season 1 as well, not just this season. So.
Grey Worm.
and that could be
Ishmael
intentional.
Is he
Cruz
Grey Worm?
Cordova.
No.
No.
Oh, I thought he was like the same actor.
No, I'm
No.
fairly
Okay.
certain he's not.
That
His name is Ishmael Cruz Cordova.
Cool name.
That's the actor who plays
and that could be an intention of the writers / producers of, okay, yes, we have to have elves because this is Middle Earth, and we're doing this. And Galadriel and Elrond, who are our main elves, are known quantities. We can't change them too much. They're going to have to be kind of wooden and fit in the boxes they're going to end up in. But this guy, we can do whatever we want with. So they're doing all the fun they want to have with the other elvish characters are having with Arondir, and that may be why we like him so much. That they knew that they were pigeonholed with their other elvish characters because they're immortal. They're going to be around later unless something happens. So we introduce a new one, and we can do whatever we want with him. Just a thought. Sorry, got rambling.
No, it's okay. Looking at his IMDb, he was also in an episode of The Mandalorian and was on Sesame
I read
Street.
that. That's a good pedigree.
Hey, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Mandalorian and Sesame Street. It's some props.
But I'm gonna be honest with you, man. That's not a crap ton of experience because I think he may have been probably on just like 1 or 2 episodes at most of The Mandalorian.
He was on the 1 episode of The Mandalorian, yeah.
So yeah, just 1. So like for him to be doing that, to me, like he's the biggest standout to me. I like his character. I like the way he's playing him, and I think his character is a little bit more down to earth, which is fitting in with me a little bit better. So yeah, I'm enjoying his character. I'm there. I'm with him.
Yeah, I like his character a lot. I think that he's one of the better characters on the show and fits into Tolkien perfectly.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm gonna be honest with you, I ain't loving the dwarves too much. Nothing against those guys, and I don't even think they're doing terrible. But when I see dwarves, I just think they should be sitting around drinking the beers, the ale, you know what I'm saying, mining, which we did see them do a little bit of, and just whooping ass. That's what dwarves should be doing. And we don't get a lot of that. I want the beer chugging antics that we would normally think about dwarves and being real hard. Like the dwarf from like the Lord of the Rings, from the original movies. Like that guy, he drank his ale and he just was there and was real gruff and hard. And
Gimli?
I don't think Gimli. Like I like my dwarves to be like Gimli. I don't think these dwarves are kind of showcasing that as much, but they can later on in the story.
Gimli was drinking like that because he was one of the last of his kind. These are the dwarves before that.
So you're saying these dwarves are soft? They haven't got hard yet?
No, they don't have the reason to be drinking during the day like that.
Yeah. We saw that Balrog form in the previous season. So
and
that thing decides to cause troubles for the dwarves. They will be
call
drinking.
Deals. And if we're gonna make more rings, we're gonna need more mithril.
Yeah.
And if we're gonna get more mithril, that means
I think they just mine deeper.
I think that whole bit with the leaf last season was just to remind everyone what's down there. I don't think it's gonna be here in a big old hurry, but there's gonna be constant hints that it's down there.
Yeah.
For sure.
Agreed. All right, guys. Any final thoughts?
Shout out to Poppy. Go get your man. With
He's my favorite.
Dave Patel lookalike guy.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell
They
was
kinda
going
look
on
like
there,
Deb
but something
Patel.
definitely was happening.
Oh, and
Yeah,
I'm totally
Nori's
thinking that boss lady, the goon or whatever she was called,
Mhm.
that's his mama.
Oh, good freeze.
Oh, yeah.
That's his mama, and he is sizing up these chicks and deciding if they're good enough for her boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just my call on this. I think a couple episodes we're gonna find that out.
Yeah.
Poppy's my
All
favorite.
right. Poppy's great. We will be back next week with another episode. Our little mini review after watching episode 5 of Rings of Power. But until next time, you guys, we are out of here. Peace.
Peace.